the food was very, very inadequate. In the morning, about 5:30, we got a piece of black bread and some black coffee made of burned wheat. Lunchtime, we got some watery soup with a few leaves swimming around. That was it. That was your food for the day in, day out. After 3 weeks, they selected some boys, older ones than me, and I stood in the second row, stood on my toes, and I made myself taller because they were looking for taller boys, and we were chosen and we went to Auschwitz I. And there they were put into a block 4 and we were there. I was a bit scared everywhere. I knew the same afternoon what happened to the other people, what arrived with us. A foreman, a Jewish foreman, said to me that they'd all been gassed and then burned. And in Auschwitz I, we slept each one in a small bed with a straw mattress, and the food was a little bit better. There were political prisoners, Dutchmen, French, Norwegians, there were a few different nationalities, and Poles. The food was a little bit better. And then I was sent to a farm. Remember, Auschwitz was 30 kilometers big. It was a very large encampment. The small camps were wired with electric wire, fenced off, and guarded by assessment. And I was chosen to work on agriculture for the SS. First was 2 horses and ploughed the fields. And for fertilizer, they used to bring us ashes from the crematorium. And I threw it on the floor, on the ground, and the bones, you could feel the bones. And also we took some ashes into the river Vistula, which passed Auschwitz. And afterwards, we were taken to work in the fishing commando. We used to catch fish in the river Vistula. We had high boots, rubber boots, and nets. And we used to sort the fish out and put them into water containers, and then we used to load them on the train like oil wagons. And then we used to send them off to Germany.
You told me a story about pinching fish when you were in the Auschwitz camp. Can you tell me that on the film?
I worked in the fishing commando, and we were 5 boys also working there with older people. And one day the couple, who was a German couple, not Jewish, they took him out of prison and brought him to Auschwitz to be in charge of us. And he was like a tiger, he was a horrible person. And we worked in the fishing commando, and it was just before Christmas. He noticed a bucket of fish swimming around in the bucket, and I'm sure he knew who actually put these fish away, but he didn't say anything. He said, he called us boys over and he said, you'll take, each one take about 2 or 3 fish with you to the camp. And so we put them in our trousers. And Sergeant, he put these fish away for himself for Christmas. And he comes back from his work, and he looked in the bucket, and he said, "Where are my fish?" He asked the couple, the foreman, he didn't say nothing. He says, "Where are my fish?" He asked 3 times. Nobody said a word. In the meantime, they were already in our trousers. And the assessment officer, he says, "Now I want." He realized that we must have them ourselves. He says, "I give you now 5 minutes to put all the fish back in the bucket," and then the fish were dead already because we had them in our trousers, and we tied our trousers on the bottom so they don't go down, and he went up to a tree, cut a branch off. We all had about 6 whips over our bottoms. And after we put the fish back, but I had 1 fish left. When he hit me, my trousers split, and one of the fish was hanging out. And he looked at me, he says, "Right." He took his revolver out, put it to my temple. You stow the fish, you'll eat it alive, as it is. He took me to a stream, and I started tearing the fish to pieces, full of blood and so on. It was horrendous, raw. And I was eating, and munching and eating, and suddenly the major passed with a horse-drawn carriage. Mm. Yeah, the major passed, and he asked him, and so he took the revolver and put it in his holster, and he went to talk to him. When he did that, I threw the bones and so on, because there was a stream running. And I've had quite a lot of the fish. And I never liked a raw fish ever since. Terrible. And that was it. And when I got back to the camp where the fishing commander was, there was a major, and we went into his room, all the boys, which did, because the sergeant told them what we did. And right away he started kicked me in the stomach. And then that was it. About 10 minutes later, I've noticed the sergeant is beating that foreman, that capo, outside. Took a big stick and gave him, because he knew who told us to take these fish. He knew we wouldn't have taken it out on our own. And he gave me a good hiding, and he was bleeding like mad. Yeah, good. It was a very good thing, because it was a shocking person. And we went back to the camp, and we didn't go to work for about 2 days. We couldn't stand up. And for not going to work in Auschwitz, you could have been shot. But we were so sore that we couldn't even stand up. And after the 3rd days we went back to work, and we once again we worked in the fishing commando. Oh, the things which went on, it was just unbelievable. And the elderly people, they didn't have a chance to talk to us and so on, because we had to keep among our boys, because they suffered and they starved and so on, so they had no time for us. So we were together on our own.